Greetings grown-ups, and thanks for checking out another edition of the Independent Mail. I'm your mail carrier for the day, QT Dove. If you get through some of these packages and looking through the mail and you like what you see, you hear, you get entertained, get a little bit of information, please consider hitting that like button. Also consider subscribing to the channel. If you do these things and you're really feeling what you see, please share this channel with other like-minded individuals so they can also receive some independent mail. And last but not least, you know what I want you to do. I want you to be like LL. I want you to rock the bells. Hit that notification button so you can be notified anytime we push out new and fresh content from the independent mail. We're working hard to drop new videos every single week. Now let's get to it. So, if you checked out the thumbnail, then you already know what the subject of today's video is. You know what I'm saying? It's that indica. It's that sativa. You know what I'm saying? It's that ooh-wee. Not that backyard boogie though. We ain't don't give me no Bama. We don't like that. But being all serious, it is cannabis, Mary Jane, marijuana. So early in the independent mail, how did this end up being a subject for the show? Yes, there's political pieces to it and social pieces to it. But the reason it came up so quickly actually is a result of the last video we did, which was regarding Miss Brittany Griner and her situation over in Russia. And when I was going through that, I was going over some of the responses from both the left and the right, and just critiquing some of them, giving some boys and issuing some fouls on the play. And I'm not even gonna whistle, I'm just gonna cue it in there because I was whack last week when I tried that. But one of the people that I did comment on their response was Mr. Joe Rogan. And he actually went on to say that, of course, he didn't agree with the ridiculous sentencing that Ms. Griner received over in Russia, but he took it a step further and said that we should actually take a look at people that are incarcerated here, not abroad, but here in the United States for cannabis. And I have to say that this video is not sponsored by Live Well. I'm just giving a nice shout out because that's what the subject is for the day. So that White Widow, Live Well. If you're in Denver, Colorado, get you some. But anyway, so let's get into it. In thinking about people that are currently in the prison system over cannabis or marijuana sales, I do think Mr. Rogan has a legitimate point in saying that we should probably take a look at that while we're outraged at someone's unjust situation abroad. Again, I say I agree with that. I agree with it with certain caveats. And the only reason is because I liken this similar to prohibition. But I do think it needs to be done. So I just think that it just shouldn't be willy-nilly. Oh, if you're locked up for marijuana charges, you get out. I feel like there should be some caveats to it. I'm pretty sure Mr. Rogan did it as well. I tried to go back and watch the entire podcast that he brought it up, and I was able to just find clips of it. But for me, I would probably go as far as to and again, if somebody really was, it would be hashed out or whatever. But just in a nutshell, I would look at something like, if you're incarcerated and your charges are cannabis only, because oftentimes we know most people in the penal system, if cannabis is involved, most likely that's not the only thing. But if you did happen to be in and that's the only thing you have, and you've served 50% plus of your sentence, it should be, an automatic. Cannabis only and serving somewhere between 25 to 50%, there's somewhere to look at, but there should be, a sliding scale. But definitely cannabis only should almost be green lit to be released. Now it gets a little bit dicier to me with combinations of charges. Let's say marijuana and another hard drug. I would probably look at it on the situation too, where if the cannabis charge was removed, would he or she be out yet? And again, it gets even more dicey for me, and I don't mean dicey. I mean I'm less inclined to do it once it's cannabis combined with other drugs combined with firearms. Then there's a pattern of behavior there that goes beyond just the unfair classification of marijuana. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on releasing individuals that are currently incarcerated over cannabis, especially since there are, I believe, about 16 states that now currently have it legalized for both medical and recreational use. Interesting that I'm just saying 16 states. I'm not sure. I think it is 16, but I'm gonna pull it up in just a second. But I do find it interesting that since I brought up states, I do find it interesting that cannabis and abortion are now in the same boat. And it's like, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that they're now both states' rights issues. So whatever your state decides to do, that's what's going down. So anyway, yeah, I thought that there would be a big correlation between states that were like no longer allowing procedures and states that also didn't allow for recreational marijuana use. And to be honest, it's sort of not as big of a correlation as I thought it would be. Now, some players are consistent at what you think. The West Coast is pretty consistent. And when I say West Coast, I mean Washington, Oregon, California. Very consistent. It's for and let's throw in Nevada. Even though they tend to vote red sometimes, most of the time I think. Anyway, all of these guys are green to go. Medical, recreational, decriminalized, the whole ball of wax. And of course, I'm gonna put these graphics up on the screen so you guys can see them as well. And I'm gonna also drop links to all of these that I'm talking about, as well as the links to Joe Rogan podcast snippet as well. Everything we talk about and discuss on the Independent Mail will be dropped down in the description, because we always keep full packages. You know what I'm saying? We don't drop, ban, break any of these packages when we deliver them for your Independent Mail. But anyway, so yeah, they're down with the whole ball of wax, all the West Coast. So that is what I would think, Washington, California, that stuff. And of course, they also kept abortion services available as of, like we say, this month with no threat to them. This is where it gets interesting. Now, of course, almost all of the Southeast, and the South period, like let's just call it Texas, straight south to the southeast. All of these guys are red, straight jumped on the boat for restricting abortion procedures. So I thought when I clicked over to the map that it would look similar as far as restricting marijuana, cannabis use as well, but that is not the case. Florida, for instance, has medical, but they have it decriminalized. North Carolina, it's illegal, but they've decriminalized it. So usually when you have a decriminalization, there's a dollar a weight amount that if it falls below that, then they'll just get rid of it, but they won't ticket you or take you to jail or something like that. Alabama, legal status mixed, medical, yes. Mississippi, legal status mixed, medical, yes. Decriminalized, yes. Arkansas, mixed, medical. Missouri, mixed, medical, decriminalized. I'm very, very surprised by some of these hard red states that definitely restricted abortion, I also would have thought would have restricted cannabis outright, and a lot of them have not. A lot of them have opened the door for medical, as well as some decriminalization. Georgia here shows this CBD oil only, whatever. Decriminalized, no. There's some articles that say something against differently to that. I think in Fulton County though. But anyway, Tennessee, no. So some of these play the part that you expect them to be, but some of them don't. And when I saw this made me wonder if the gap between red states and blue states, as far as marijuana was concerned, was as large as I assumed it to be. And so I started doing some more digging to try to see like what the percentages actually look like. And this is what I got from, what is this, marijuanamovement.net. And let's see what we have here. It says market research found that 69% of Americans back adult use legalization, while a whopping 92% back legalizing cannabis for medical use. I mean, 92%, that's almost everybody. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that the numbers were this high. Seriously, I didn't. And what I really thought was to find a big discrepancy with Democrats and Republicans. And there's a discrepancy. It's just not as large as I thought it would be. So with respect to adult use legalization, 78% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and 54% of Republicans said they favor the policy change. Not even gonna lie, first two numbers surprised me as well. I thought they might be in the 60s. Democrats and independents, 78 and 74. But again, the number that actually surprises me is 54% of Republicans. And why is this surprising to me? It's surprising to me because Republicans a lot of times tend to be our older voting bloc, retirees, etc. And I expect most of these people to be from the old guard and the old world of, you know, Mary Jane, it's the gateway drug, reefer madness, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of them probably are, and that's why their numbers are in the 50s, you know, and not in the 70s. But to be honest, 54% is very high to me for the Republican Party. And it's probably going to climb higher because of the money effect. And that's just serious, because both Dems and Republicans, let's not lie, like Republicans get the reputation for being the greedy people, but it's all of us. Everybody's greedy. So it's Dems as well. But my thing is, I think with some of these Republican states that don't have windfalls that some of these larger that some of these other states do, to have larger cities inside of them that are less agricultural dependent, they may see a benefit to legalization and in some cases maybe crop switching, depending on, you know, I'm not even finna pretend like I'm a farmer and knowing about what different soil groups are good for whatever, but I don't. But it could, if it's something that's beneficial, some of these states eventually will probably start to change their stance on that. When I say some of these states, I mean some of the red ones in the heartland areas that may be a little reluctant initially, because there's a ridiculous amount of income and just flat out revenue that's being generated, tax revenue. It's ridiculous. Just briefly, my background during my day job is in M&A, mergers and acquisitions, and their PE, private equity firms, obtaining funding by the millions for cannabis related industry. So it's coming. As a matter of fact, former Speaker of the House, Boehner actually spearheads a large cannabis legalization investment, all kinds of things push. So it's probably coming. And it actually brings me, and this, you know, we keep going down the rabbit hole. Sometimes you open these packages up. When I saw that how these numbers are, 78% Democrats, 74% independents, 54% Republicans, are down for legalization, then it begs you to start wondering, well, what's the problem? What's the holdup? Because here we go again with this for the people, by the people, not actually making it to the people. Okay? It's not working. See, and what it looks like is happening is that we're in the gun scenario again. The gun industry scenario, where you have an overwhelming percentage of both Democrats and Republicans, as well as independents, say that they want different types of gun reform, and yet it never happens. Why? Because the industry keeps interfering, which is why what we say in the initial introduction video to the Independent Mail, one of the purposes of this channel was to really discuss not only independent candidates, but really trying to get some of the corporate big packed money out of politics, because these big donors actually block the people. They block the will of the people. Even if our politicians go to Washington with the best of intentions, once those envelopes, i.e. Campaign donations, start coming in, they become a little bit too hard to resist. They become too hard to not, predicate your actions based on what a special interest wants that keeps contributing to your campaign. So another thing we got to look at, getting the big money out of politics if we really want to get what we want as people. But really quick video. I'm not going to go on too long, on and like Erica on this one. I just wanted to touch on it because I thought it was a good subject that Mr. Rogan brought up last week. And I just thought it would be nice to do a little further research about it. And like I say, I found out some stuff I didn't think that I would. Looks like most of the country is actually leaning towards getting this done. So, you know what I'm saying? It's fire up. It's your guy out here, QT Dub, back at it again for another Independent Mail. Again, if you like what you saw, we're entertained, we're informed a little bit, please hit that like and subscribe button, share it with other like-minded individuals, and please remember to hit that notification bell, rock the bells like LL, so you know the next time we pop up with new fresh content. Again, it's your guy, QT Dub. I appreciate you for stopping by. I'm out.